Today we're going to clean a Taurus GX4. We're going to disassemble it, clean it, lubricate, and reassemble right here in this video. To clean this gun, we're not going to use very much. We're going to use a CLP, which is a cleaner lubricant protectant. I like original gun oil, although there's all kinds of different ones. This is a break-free CLP product, Trimax CLP product. I'll put links down in the description. We're going to use some cotton swabs. I like these double-ended swabs because they have a regular end and a pointed end, which is perfect for cleaning the slide cuts. This is actually a dog toothbrush. It's got a nice big side and a smaller side for getting in various areas of the gun. If you don't have something like this, you can always get an actual gun brush, which is similar, or in a pinch, you can just use an old toothbrush. That'll work just fine. This particular gun requires a screwdriver or the little tool that comes with it to field strip the gun. These are literally cut up t-shirts, just some cotton rags, and this is a bore snake for cleaning the inside of the barrel, also known as the bore. I also highly recommend eye protection and rubber gloves while cleaning your firearm. I may not wear gloves on this because I'm going to be working the camera as well, and that's going to be a little difficult, but highly recommended. Of course, we always start with an unloaded gun, so remove the magazine, set that aside, lock the slide back, verify there's no round in the chamber because we will need to press the trigger to field strip this gun, close the action. On this side we have a takedown pin, which we just need to turn that 90 degrees counterclockwise and it will stay there. And now you do need to point the gun in a safe direction, press the trigger, and now the slide will come off the front of the gun. And then next we want to press the recoil spring and guide rod, squeeze it a little bit and lift it up, and this lifts out, and then the barrel lifts right out of the slide. And that is as far apart as you need to disassemble the gun for cleaning purposes. Doesn't matter where you start. I like to start with the barrel. If you look down inside, you can kind of see the carbon and other material built up in here that we need to clean out. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take some original gun oil and I'm just going to drip a few drops in each end. And then I'm going to take a cotton swab and I'm just going to gently smear it around inside. I'm just trying to coat the inside of the barrel so that it starts loosening up all that dirt. I'm just going to let that sit for a few minutes to let that dirt loosen up, and then we're going to come back and clean it out. Alright, now that the barrel has sat for about 5 minutes, I'm going to take my bore snake, which is just a long piece of material. It's got some built-in copper brushes here to loosen any dirt. This is the Viper version. It's a little bit longer and it has more brushes on it. So all you need to do here is feed the bore snake through the barrel, and it's going to pull the brushes through, and the brushes are going to scour the inside of the barrel, and then this whole tail part here is going to pull out all the dirt that was loosened up by the brushes. And I would just run that through 2 or 3 times depending on how dirty it is. It should be a nice tight fit. These bore snakes come in different sizes for different calibers. Alright, so now if you take a look down inside the barrel, all that dirt is gone and that is pretty clean. Next I'm just going to get a cotton swab and clean up the edges here. We want to clean this feed ramp and get this nice and shiny. And put a drop on the exterior of the barrel and use one of your rags to just wipe it down and get any carbon buildup off of the barrel till it looks nice and clean. Alright, that's all there is for the barrel. Okay, now we're going to move on to the slide. So we're just going to do a similar technique. We're going to take a few drops, put a drop down here, a drop here, maybe a drop here, and a drop down in here. And now we're just going to spread those drops around the inside of the slide. Make sure you get into these slots on each side. These are the slide cuts. It runs the whole length. That's where the slide runs back and forth on the frame. So that's where a lot of dirt ends up. We just want to get a little bit of oil in there. And then we kind of want to spread the oil here Now you don't want to get any oil down into this slot here, because this is where your firing pin moves back and forth. And you don't want to get any oil into this hole right here, which is where the firing pin is. If you get oil in there, there's a chance that it's going to attract dirt and then build up kind of a sludge, which is going to possibly affect the performance of your firearm. So you just want to be careful about that. And all I do is just get a light coating of CLP in there, and we're going to come back and wipe it down later. Now this surface right here around that hole, we do want to clean, just don't get any drops of oil down inside there. And you can add a little drop to the brush. We want that to get clean as well. That's called the breech face, that flat part right there where the hole is. All right, and then you just want to let that sit for a few minutes. All right, after it sat for a few minutes, now we just want to wipe everything off. Just get a cotton rag and wipe all the oil off that you can. See how much carbon that's pulling off of there. That was just from a short visit to the range, so it doesn't take much to get a gun dirtied up inside. All right, to get into these slide cuts a little bit better, you can drape the rag over it and then let the bristles of the brush push the rag into the slide cut. Move it back and forth. That does a pretty good job. Also helps you get into the tight spots right here. Just one technique I've learned works pretty well. Make sure you get both slide cuts on both sides. All right, and then once you've got pretty clean with the rag, then get your cotton swab, get the pointy end, and that fits right into the slide cuts there, back and forth. Get that nice and clean. It gets right in the slide cuts, get that nice and clean. Then use the other side to just kind of clean up all the other areas and get as much of that CLP up as you can. One of the reasons I like to use CLP versus a solvent is any of the residue from the CLP that's left on the gun is just going to help lubricate and protect it. You don't have to get 100% of the CLP out of there for everything to work. Get in here, it gets dirty, it gets missed a lot. All right, and then as far as the outside of the slide, get a rag. Put a drop on the rag. One drop is really all you need unless it's super dirty, then add some more. And then just use that to kind of wipe things down on the outside. And then basically spend the time to get it as clean as you would like it to be. The cleaner the better, but it does not have to be spotless. All right, and also make sure that you get this little hook here. This is your extractor. So you definitely want to get underneath of that. Make sure there's no crud underneath there. See, I got a little bit of dirt out of there. That's what grabs onto your brass and pulls it out of the gun. So you want to make sure that's clean under there. All right, now we got the slide pretty good. All right, moving on to the frame. We're going to do a similar procedure here. Drop on that rail there, put a drop on this rail, maybe a drop back here and a drop up here, just a little drop. And then get your brush in there to kind of spread that around a little bit. Make sure you get these frame rails. They need to be clean. That's where your slide moves back and forth. And then just get a little coating of the CLP in there. Mostly the metal parts. That's all you really have to worry about. And then let that sit for a few minutes. Every once in a while, just kind of clean off your brushes. All right, now that the frame's been sitting for a little bit, again, get a rag and just wipe it down as best you can. Wipe down the metal parts that you can get to with your finger. And then again, use the rag and a brush. Push the rag down into the tighter spaces. And again, anywhere you can't reach, get your pointy side of your cotton swab and get underneath the rails there. Get in any little space that you couldn't get to before. With the cotton swabs, just make sure you don't have too much of the little strands fall off there. Just blow it out a little bit. If the outside of your frame needs cleaning, just get a drop on a rag and just kind of wipe that down. This particular CLP, original gun oil, is definitely safe for plastic. Not all gun cleaners are safe for plastic, so make sure what you're using is safe on the type of gun that you have. All right, now the frame is done. All right, next we're going to look at the recoil spring and guide rods. So this doesn't really need a lot of cleaning. You can see this little bit of greenish bluish. This is because the gun is relatively new. This is put on at the factory. It's just like an anti-corrosive. You can leave that on there, but it's okay if it comes off. So if you see dirt in here, you can just brush it to make sure there's no buildup there. If it's real dirty, get a drop of CLP, put it in there and smear that around and then wipe it off. But this one looks pretty good. All right, now we've cleaned all the pieces. Now let's lubricate. All right, now as far as lubrication, the manual is actually very vague. All the manual says is to lubricate the rails and the barrel lockup points. Basically, this is what I do for lubrication on this gun. You really don't need much at all. I would put a drop on a rag, and then we're just going to run that drop up and down the rail on both sides. Make sure it just leaves a little residue of oil on there. All right, that's all you really need to do. And then you want a little down on this surface down here, because the barrel locks up down there. And I would actually put a drop or two on the barrel and then just kind of smear it around. You just want to leave a little tiny residue on the barrel so that it's not completely dry. All right. Little hint of oil on there, that's all you need. And that is all the lubrication you need for this firearm. Now it's time to reassemble. Take the slide upside down and lay the barrel right in like that. Take your recoil spring and guide rod, put it in like this, squeeze it, make sure the recoil spring is sitting just like this, and it's parallel to the edge of the slide. Okay, and now all you need to do is line up these notches with the frame rails here like that. Slide it on, slide it all the way back, push the slide lock up all the way back like that. Everything looks good. Make sure there's no gap between the slide and the frame. Then you can let it close, and then just work the slide a few times to get the oil kind of worked in there. And now you are done with the firearm. Next, we just want to clean the magazine. Most of the time, all you need to do is a little tiny drop of oil on here, wipe it down, wipe the follower up here, which is this piece here that pushes the rounds up into the gun. Just clean the follower, clean the feed lips, which are just these bent pieces right here. Make sure they're nice and clean. Don't leave any oil on there. Wipe it off pretty good if you use oil to clean it. You don't want any oil getting into your rounds, although a little tiny bit's not going to hurt anything. If you have a really dirty magazine, I will have a video I'll link up here on how to disassemble and clean the inside of the magazine. Most of the time you don't have to do it unless maybe you dropped it in the gravel or in the dirt where it got wet. Then you need to make sure this is taken apart and cleaned. The next thing you want to do is a quick function and safety check, which I'll put a link up here in the corner so you can go check that out. If you found this video helpful, please hit like below. Check out the description for links to all the products we used here today. Please subscribe, and thanks for watching.